Somewhere in America right now, someone is standing in a gun shop spending $800 on a pistol they cannot feed, cannot maintain, and cannot find parts for when the supply chain collapses. They think they are prepared. They are not even close. There are exactly 12 firearms that give an American household a fighting chance when the worst day in our history finally arrives, and most gun owners are missing at least half of them. This is the list no one else is putting together, honestly. Number 12, Ruger 1022. Before anyone in the comments says a 22 long rifle has no business on a war loadout list, close the tab. That thinking will get your family killed before the first week is over. The Ruger 1022 has been in continuous production since 1964. Over 8 million have been built. It is the most produced rifle in American history, and there is a reason for that. When a society fractures, when supply chains collapse, and ammunition becomes currency, the 22 long rifle becomes the single most valuable cartridge on the planet. Here is the math no one talks about. You can carry 1,000 rounds of 22 long rifle in a small backpack pocket. 1,000 rounds. Try doing that with 308. Try doing that with 5.56. You cannot. The weight alone makes it impossible. In every modern collapse scenario, Bosnia in the 90s, Venezuela in the 2010s, Ukraine starting in 2022, civilian survivors who stayed fed did it with small caliber rimfire rifles. Not battle rifles, not shotguns. A humble 22 taking small game quietly, efficiently, and without announcing their position to every desperate person within 2 miles. With subsonic ammunition, the 1022's report is quieter than a hand clap. That matters more than any ballistic advantage a larger caliber offers when noise discipline means survival. A new 1022 runs $350. 1,000 rounds of bulk, 22 long rifle cost $80. There is no other entry point into serious preparedness at that price. Buy this gun first. Build everything else around it. Number 11, Mossberg 590A1. The Mossberg 500 is the shotgun most Americans know. The 590A1 is what the United States military chose when they needed something that could survive actual combat. The difference matters. The 590A1 has a heavier barrel, a metal trigger group housing instead of plastic, and a magazine tube that holds 9 rounds of 12 gauge. The United States military adopted it. The Marine Corps carried it. Law enforcement agencies across the country issued it because it survives conditions that destroy lesser shotguns. Inside 50 yards, no firearm on this list ends a threat more decisively. Double-aught buckshot at 1,300 feet per second produces terminal effects that are not survivable. That is not opinion. That is physics. But here's what elevates the 590A1 above every other shotgun in this loadout. Ammunition flexibility. One firearm cycles birdshot for taking small game, buckshot for close defense, rifled slugs for big game and barrier penetration, and less than lethal rounds when the situation calls for restraint. No other long gun on this list performs all 4 jobs from a single platform. A new Mossberg 590A1 runs around $600. It requires no batteries, no electronics, and no software updates. The pump action works frozen, wet, sand-caked, and neglected. It worked for your great-grandfather, and it will work when everything modern has failed. Every American household defense plan starts here. Number 10. Glock 19 Gen 5. The Glock 19 is not exciting, I know that. You know that. Everyone in this hobby knows that. And that is precisely, exactly, completely why it belongs at number 10 on this list. Here is the truth about handguns in a collapse scenario. The person picking up your spare pistol is probably not you. It is your spouse who has shot a pistol 4 times in the last 2 years. It is your teenage son running on adrenaline. It is your 60-year-old neighbor who needs something he can run without a manual. The Glock 19 Gen 5 has a 4-inch barrel, 15 rounds of 9mm on tap, and a manual of arms so simple that untrained shooters hit with it. Federal air marshals carry it. The FBI carries it. Navy SEAL units carry it. They all arrived at the same conclusion independently because the data pointed the same direction. 9mm ammunition is the second most produced cartridge on Earth after .22 long rifle. In any supply disruption, 9mm stays available longer than almost everything else on this list. A new Glock 19 Gen 5 runs $550. Every adult in your household needs to be able to load it, clear a malfunction, and put rounds on target at 25 yards. If they cannot do those three things, your household defense plan has a hole in it that no amount of other gear can fill. Number 9, Henry Big Boy 357 Magnum. Most preppers look at a lever-action rifle and think frontier nostalgia. Most preppers are missing one of the most strategically elegant firearms decisions a household can make. Here's the problem the Henry Big Boy solves that 95% of gun owners do not even know they have. If you carry a 357 Magnum or 38 Special revolver, which you should, and we will get to that, then every single round of ammunition you purchase feeds both your handgun and this rifle. 1 ammunition supply, 2 firearms. That is force multiplication at the household level. From a 16-inch barrel, the 357 Magnum cartridge picks up significant velocity. What leaves a 4-inch revolver barrel as a powerful handgun round exits the Henry as a genuine 200-yard rifle round. The energy increase is not marginal. It is transformational. The Henry Big Boy is built in Wisconsin. American steel, American walnut, American labor. The action cycles so smoothly, you can run it one-handed. And here's the strategic advantage that goes beyond ballistics. This rifle does not look like a war rifle. In a scenario where black rifles draw attention, draw searches, draw the wrong kind of interest, the lever action is invisible. It is a hunting rifle, it is a ranch rifle, it is grandpa's rifle, and it will quietly solve your meat problem and your threat problem simultaneously without ever looking like it was built for either job. A new Henry Big Boy runs around $1,000. The ammunition system it shares with your revolver makes that price look very small very quickly. Number 8, Smith & Wesson 686 Plus. No semi-automatic fanboy wants to hear this. But in a prolonged collapse scenario, the wheel gun outlasts the Wonder 9. Every time. Let me explain why. The Smith & Wesson 686 Plus is a stainless steel 7-shot double-action revolver chambered in 357 Magnum. It has been in production since 1980. It will be in production when every polymer-framed pistol on this list has worn through its recoil spring, and the replacement parts have been unavailable for 6 months. Revolvers do not malfunction. There is no magazine spring to weaken under prolonged loading. There is no slide to short stroke when your hands are shaking and your fine motor skills have left the building. No feed ramp to foul with dirty brass. You pull the trigger. The cylinder rotates. The round fires. If by some miracle it does not fire, you pull the trigger again. The next round fires. Try that sequence with a semi-automatic that has just experienced a double feed at 2 in the morning. The 686 also fires 38 Special, meaning one revolver draws from 2 different ammunition supplies. In a world where you take what you can find, that flexibility is not a luxury. It is a survival feature. This is the sidearm you hand to the family member who will train twice a year and no more. This is the gun you leave with the elderly parent who lives alone 3 counties away. This is the backup in the safe that you never worry about because it will work perfectly in 5 years whether anyone has touched it or not. A new 686 Plus runs around $900. It will outlive your grandchildren. Buy it once and never think about it again. The majority of viewers clicked away before number 8. They wanted a quick list. They got bored with context. And that is exactly why they will be underprepared when it matters. The next 7 firearms are where this loadout stops being a collection and starts being a fighting system. Number 5 solves a gap in close quarters capability that almost no civilian loadout addresses. Number 2 is the battle rifle that bridges the distance between your AR and your bolt gun. And number 1 is the firearm philosophy that every serious household defense expert arrives at eventually, the one that makes everything else on this list actually work. Stay with me. Number 7, Remington 700 308 Winchester. There are threats you do not want to solve up close. The Remington 700 exists for exactly those threats. The 700 in 308 Winchester has been the foundation of the United States Marine Corps M40 sniper rifle and the United States Army M24 since before most viewers of this video were born. The civilian version is mechanically identical to the military platform. You are buying a sniper rifle. The stock and the optic are the only differences. In trained hands, the 700 is effective on man-sized targets at 800 yards. 800 yards is nearly half a mile. With a $200 optic, an average shooter reaches consistent accuracy at 500 yards after a single weekend of practice. 500 yards means you identify a threat, assess it, and resolve it before it ever comes close enough to be a threat to your family. Here is the strategic layer that most people miss entirely. 308 Winchester is a NATO standard cartridge. It is the most common military rifle cartridge in the Western world and a dominant American hunting caliber simultaneously. In any global supply disruption, in any scenario where ammunition becomes scarce, 308 will remain available longer than almost every other rifle cartridge on this list, except 9mm and 12 gauge. A new Remington 700 runs about $800. Add a quality Vortex or loopholed scope for $400. For $1,200 total, you own a half-mile precision rifle. This is the gun you stage for the long-distance problem, the threat at the tree line. The vehicle moving slowly toward your property at 6 in the morning. Every prepared household needs exactly one. Number 6, Ruger Mini 14. Everything I am about to tell you about the Mini 14 is true, and none of it is about the rifle itself. It is about the world the rifle has to operate in. The Mini 14 has been in continuous production since 1973. It is chambered in 5.56 NATO, accepts 20-round and 30-round magazines, and delivers effective performance out to 200 yards. The internal action is a scaled-down version of the M14 battle rifle. It is proven, it is simple, and it runs. But here is the real reason this rifle is on this list. In a scenario where governments are searching vehicles, where checkpoints exist, where the visual signature of a black rifle draws scrutiny that you cannot afford, the Mini 14 does not register as a threat. Woodstock, hunting rifle profile, no pistol grip on the standard model. It looks like a varmint rifle a farmer would carry to deal with coyotes. That is the entire strategic value of this firearm, and it is enormous. Inside 200 yards, the Mini 14 does the exact same job as an AR-15. Same cartridge, same terminal performance. The only thing it sacrifices is modularity and precision beyond 300 yards. For the role it plays in this loadout, that trade is more than acceptable. A new Mini 14 runs around $1,200. This is the rifle you keep in the truck, the rifle you carry when you need the capability without the profile, the rifle you hand a family member who would be intimidated by the appearance of a black rifle and needs something that does not feel like going to war. Number 5, CZ Scorpion Evo 3 or AR pistol in 9mm. This is the entry on the list that surprises people. It is also the entry that fills a gap in this loadout that every other firearm leaves wide open. Inside 50 yards in a confined space, inside a vehicle, inside a structure, no rifle on this list handles like a pistol caliber carbine. The CZ Scorpion Evo 3 and quality AR pistol builds chambered in 9mm give you rifle-like control, 30-round capacity, and handgun cartridge recoil in a package small enough to maneuver through doorways and hallways where a full-length rifle becomes a liability. Here is the system integration argument that makes this gun non-negotiable. You are already running 9mm in your Glock 19. The Scorpion or AR pistol In 9mm draws from that exact same ammunition supply, one caliber feeding 3 platforms. The logistical simplification at the household level is significant. The Scorpion Evo 3 runs reliably through thousands of rounds with minimal maintenance. It accepts a suppressor thread. It folds. It is easy for smaller framed family members to run effectively because the recoil is genuinely mild and the controls are intuitive. A new CZ Scorpion runs around $1,000. A quality AR pistol built in 9mm runs similar. This is not a glamour gun. This is a system gun. It exists to solve the close quarters problem that every other long gun on this list is poorly suited to solve, and in a real scenario, the close quarters problem is the one you are most likely to actually face. Number 4, AK pattern rifle 7.62 by 39. Let me tell you something that AR-15 loyalists do not want to acknowledge. Over 100 million AK pattern rifles have been produced since Mikhail Kalashnikov finalized the design in 1947. The 7.62 by 39 cartridge is the most produced rifle cartridge in human history. Over 15 billion rounds have been manufactured worldwide. In any global disruption of ammunition supply chains, the cartridge most likely to remain available, most likely to be found, most likely to be traded and sourced is not 5.56. It is 7.62 by 39. The AK runs filthy, it runs wet, it runs frozen solid. The loose tolerances that make it less precise than the AR-15 beyond 300 yards are the exact same tolerances that make it functional when everything else has stopped. In a scenario where daily rifle cleaning is not possible, where you are moving, where conditions are brutal, the AK keeps going. A quality Zastava Z-Pab M70 or equivalent American-built AK variant runs about $1,000. Magazines are $15 each. A case of 7.62 by 39 runs $350. For under $1,500 total, you own a battle-proven rifle with a global ammunition supply that has survived every war, every conflict, and every logistics collapse of the last 75 years. This is the rifle you keep when conditions get bad enough that maintenance becomes impossible, the backup that becomes the primary. Every serious American household loadout in 2026 needs at least one. Number 3, AR-15 Meal Spec Quality Tier. I know what is happening in the comments right now. The AR has been on every list for 30 years. It is the obvious answer. It is the boring answer. It is what every gun magazine, every YouTube channel, and every self-appointed tactical expert puts at the top because it is safe and comfortable and requires zero original thought. And it is sitting at number 3 on this list anyway. Not because of tradition, not because of habit, not because I could not think of anything more interesting. Because when you strip away the politics, the culture war noise, and the brand loyalty, and you ask the men who have actually used rifles in actual wars what they keep staged in their actual bedrooms, the answer is always the same platform. The AR earned its place the hard way, in places most of us will never go, under conditions most of us will never face. So let me tell you exactly what it gives you that nothing else in this loadout does. Accuracy, modularity, parts availability that stretches back to 1963, ammunition that feeds from the same supply as half the Western world's military stockpiles, recoil so manageable that a first-time shooter is hitting consistently at 100 yards within an afternoon. All of that in a package that fully loaded weighs under 8 pounds. A trained shooter empties a 30-round magazine into a man-sized target at 100 yards in under 10 seconds. No AK on earth matches that accuracy. No battle rifle on this list matches that weight. No bolt gun comes close to that rate of fire. The AR does not win in one category. It wins across every category simultaneously, and that balance is exactly what makes it irreplaceable. Here is the parts argument that never gets old. Every optic, every light, every sling, every magazine produced for the AR-15 platform since 1963 fits the rifle you purchased today. 60 plus years of accessories, spare parts, and institutional knowledge, all fully compatible with a current production rifle. There is no other fighting platform on the planet with that depth of support. Now here's where I will lose some of you. Do not cheap out. Bravo Company, Daniel Defense, Geisele. Those are the names that matter at the quality tier this loadout demands. The $700 economy build is a range toy. The $1,500 mil-spec fighting rifle is the one that runs filthy, runs frozen, runs on 3 hours of sleep, and 2 weeks without a cleaning kit. A quality AR-15 runs $1,500 to $2,000. 1,000 rounds of 5.56 runs $400. For under $3,000 total, you own the most battle-tested semi-automatic rifle in American history. Train with it. Stage it. Trust it completely. Number 2, Springfield M1A 308 Winchester. The AR-15 handles everything up to 300 yards beautifully. The Remington 700 handles everything beyond 500 yards precisely. Between those two distances, in the 200 to 500 yard gap, where a semi-automatic battle rifle in a full-power cartridge is the correct answer, there is only one gun on this list that belongs there. The Springfield M1A is the civilian version of the M14 battle rifle that has served the United States military from 1959 to the present day. Not the past, the present. M14 variants are still in active service as designated marksman rifles in the United States Army and Marine Corps right now in 2026 because nothing has emerged to replace what they do in that specific role. 20-round magazine, full power, 308 cartridge. Effective range out to 600 yards on man-sized targets without optics. With a quality optic, 800 yards becomes realistic. And here's the capability gap it fills that the AR-15 simply cannot. The 308 Winchester defeats body armor that stops 5.56. It defeats vehicle glass. It defeats most light cover that a 5.56 round will not penetrate. When the threat is armored, when the threat is behind a car door, when the threat requires more energy than a rifle cartridge can deliver, the M1A is the answer in this loadout. The wood-stocked variant looks like a hunting rifle to anyone who does not know what they are looking at. In a scenario where visual profile matters, that is not a small thing. A new Springfield M1A standard runs around $2,000. That is serious money. It is also a battle rifle, the most proven semi-automatic platform in American military history. This is the rifle for the most experienced shooter in the household, the one who understands what it does and why it is there. Number 1, the system itself. Here is what nobody tells you. Number 1 on this list is not a gun. Every serious preparedness expert, every special operations veteran I have spoken to, every person who has thought deeply about what household defense actually looks like when the infrastructure that makes modern life possible stops working, they all arrive at the same conclusion eventually. The gun is not the answer. The system is the answer. Number 1 is the decision to build a household where every adult member has trained on at least 3 of the 12 firearms on this list, where ammunition is cross-referenced so that the same calibers feed multiple platforms, where maintenance is routine and not reactive, where every person in the house can load, clear, and fire the primary defensive weapon without instruction in a moment of stress, where the loadout is documented, the ammunition is inventoried, and the training calendar is not optional. The single most common failure point in American household preparedness is not the wrong gun. It is one person who trained and 11 people who did not. It is 4 different calibers in the safe with no logical system connecting them. It is the right rifle stored in the wrong location. The 12 guns on this list are the foundation, but the system you build around them, the training, the supply discipline, the household integration, that is what actually keeps your family alive on the worst day in American history. Build the system, not just the collection. That is the complete loadout. The Ruger 1022, the Mossberg 590A1, the Glock 19 Generation 5, the Henry Big Boy 357, the Smith & Wesson 686 Plus, the Remington 700-308, the Ruger Mini 14, the CZ Scorpion Evo 9mm, the AK pattern rifle, the AR-15, the Springfield M1A, and the system that makes all 11 of them worth owning. Not 20 guns, not 50, 12, plus the discipline to use them. If you already own 6 or more of these, you are ahead of 95% of American gun owners. If you own 2 or 3, start filling the gaps this month, not next year. This month, the window for building this loadout at current prices will not stay open indefinitely. Now, I want to hear from you. Which of these 12 do you already own? Drop the number in the comments, and if you think I left something off this list, tell me what it is and why. I read every single one. If this breakdown gave you something useful, hit subscribe. Next week, I am covering the only 6 calibers worth stockpiling in 2026 and the 3 cartridges most preppers are wasting money on right now. Stay ready, stay sharp, and never let someone else's unpreparedness become your problem.